Hey, happy Thursday. How are you doing, Kaylee?
I am friggin' fabulous. How are you doing, Sarah Easterbrook?
So good. I'm super excited for today's topic. So, you know, Bob talks about this a lot and I love this topic because you get into a lot of conversations, even people spouse or not, you get into a lot of conversation about different people's perspective. Like what makes your information right and my information wrong?
Yeah.
Right. And it's happening in the world right now. Right. Like, I never want to talk about this, but I'm just going to bring it up. But COVID, for instance, right? What makes your information of being vaccinated wrong against somebody who's not vaccinated? Like, what makes the information right or wrong? Like, why are you right and that person wrong and vice versa? And it's based on your perspective, right? So, like Bob always does the analogy, look at this book. There's nothing on the front of this book, right? You can say there's nothing on the front of this book. And Kaylee would be like, well, yeah, there's the title and the author. I can see it, right? But from my view, there's nothing on the front of the book, right? And so, like, things are happening in the world, in my world, in your world, in everybody's world. And it's a he said, she said type of world, right? So how do you keep your mindset going? How do you start a business when you're asking people their opinion? When you're asking people what should I do and they say no, don't do that. It's not a good idea. It's not worth the investment. That person's not a good person. That person's going to steer you wrong. You're going to waste your money. Are you going to sign up? Are you going to go after your goals and your dream after somebody told you that? No,
Yeah.
your mind is going to say, "Oh, maybe they're right."
That's a huge thing to say, Sarah, because when that happens, I think you need to look at the person you're asking for their advice, right? So that person, would they do what you're doing? Because if they wouldn't, obviously they're going to tell you no, I wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like, being an addict, if I were to tell my addict friend, hey, I think I'm going to get sober and I'm going to start a company that's going to make me millions all over the world. They're going to be like, oh, why would you do that? Why don't you just come party with us?
Yep.
Right?
But if you asked a multi-million dollar business person who did that and was in your shoes and did have a past like that, and you said, I'm thinking about cleaning up and I'm interested in doing this, and you told them, they're gonna be like, yeah, you need to do that. I was there. I know exactly what you did and I made it. I know you can do it and I see the success, right?
Yeah.
So just that in itself is a big thing when you're making a decision, right? It's the perspective of the person you're asking for advice from too.
Yeah. So, like, being in the online entrepreneur space and working with, coaches and consultants, people talk, right? They talk. They ask around about people. They want to know, has this person worked with this person, right? Now, maybe you had a bad experience with the person, and so you give your perspective of, no, don't work with this person. This person's going to lie to you. They're going to take your money. They're not good at what they do, right? But then you have another person who says, this person's amazing. They know exactly what they're talking about. They're the product of the product. They walk their talk. Which one are you more likely to do? It's like a Google review, okay? How many times have you looked up a restaurant to see the reviews, or a piece of furniture on Wayfair or Amazon, and you look at the reviews and there's 5,000 reviews and 4,995 of them are positive, but there's 5 reviews that have like broken or didn't come the way they expected it, or too big or too small, and you didn't buy that piece of furniture based on those negative reviews. I've done it.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said that, Sarah, because that happens in my everyday life. Like as simple as going to a restaurant. 3 of my family members could have went somewhere and they're like, that was the best food and the best service ever. One person went there and they're like, my food was cold, it tasted like shit, and I would never go there again.
Yeah.
Right? It happens every single place in your life, but an aha moment right now that you're gonna hear is that you won't know unless you do it.
Exactly.
So why don't you just do it and have your own perspective of that service or that person or that thing or whatever it is that you want to do, instead of for asking somebody else's opinion if you should or shouldn't do it, or should work there or shouldn't work there, or should buy a product or service from this person or this place, and taking their advice and either doing it or not doing it from their advice. Why don't you take your own advice, go with your intuition, and just say, I feel good about this, I'm going to do it. See for yourself. There's no better thing to do.
Because there's always going to be people who try to bring you down. There's always going to be people that say, I love you, but just don't be better than me. Right? There's always going to be that type of people. There's always going to be people who are going to complain about every single thing that they do in their life. Everything. Every hotel they stay at, they will find something wrong. Every restaurant they go to, they will find something wrong. Every 4th of July fireworks, they will complain that the fireworks are too loud, right? There are always people who are going to be that way. So it's your perspective. It's what you want to do.
Yes.
It's your goals.
It's all perspective, because if you ask somebody who's homeless, how was your meal tonight, and it was just literally a coffee and a donut somebody gave them when they were walking out of Tim Hortons, their meal was amazing. But if somebody who's used to a 5-course meal every night has a coffee and a donut for dinner, and they're asked the same question, well, it was shit because it was only a coffee and a donut. Right? It's perspective in every single area of our life.
Yeah. It's like money, right? So like, maybe $100 to you is just $100. It's not that much, right? But $100 to somebody who's on, Social Security, that $100 is food on the table and a roof over their head.
Yeah.
Right. One of my favorite perspective analogies is from Peter Sage, his training. And he says, let's say you have $1,000, right? That's all you have to your name is $1,000. And you take it out of your bank and you have it in front of you, and you're sitting on your couch and you have it on your coffee table and you're looking at it and you're okay, I have $1,000. And then somebody breaks into your house and steals that $1,000. How would you feel? Panicked, right? Because that's all you had and everything was stolen. But let's say you have $100,000 and somebody takes $1,000. It wouldn't really be that much of a big deal, right? Because now you still have $90,000 or whatever it is, right? So it wouldn't be a big deal. So it's just the way you look at it. So ask yourself, if you are hanging out with people who talk bad about other people, who don't want other people to succeed, who don't want other people to do better than them, are those the type of people you really want to be hanging out with?
I love
that. Are they practicing what they preach?
Yeah. That's a big thing I've learned over, I think, well, I'm going to say over the years, like I'm so old, but over the years I've learned that the way people talk about other people when they are talking to you says a lot.
Yeah.
And that right there needs to be kind of like a mental note in your mind, thinking, if you're talking like this about somebody, what do you say when I'm not here?
Exactly.
Right? If you're talking like this about your neighbor on the left side of your house, what are you talking about me as your neighbor on the right side of your house to him?
Yeah. They say, don't worry about what people say behind your back. Worry about what they say to your face.
Yes.
Right? And watch what they say about other people.
And how comfortable they can be talking that way about somebody else. That says a lot too, that they can say, you know, it goes both ways, good or bad, about somebody, and they're so comfortable saying it. That says a lot. Like I am the type that used to gossip.
Yep.
I shouldn't say I am the type. Yeah, I used to gossip. I used to get into, if there was a conversation going about this person or that person and they did this, and this, I would chime in and I'd say, yeah, you know, da da da. Well, now, if there's gossip going on, I don't care. I just dismiss myself from the conversation because I don't feed into that. That person's not here. I'm the type of person, if I want to know the answer to whatever perspective that person has of how something happened or what's going on, I'll go and ask you, because I need to know from you, not the perspective of the 10th person that was in the circle when he said or she said.
It's like
I'm going to go
telephone,
ask
right?
you. Yes, telephone.
Yeah. So we did a live on our Facebook today, and from a consultant, and what she said made sense. So we live in survival mode, right? Like, based on the past of our ancestors. Most of us live in survival mode. Like, if you're living on autopilot, getting up at the same time, same side of the bed, like, and you're just moving through your day, that is you living on autopilot because you're just trying to get to the end of the day safely, right? So it's the same thing. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with it's the same thing with our ancestors. Our ancestors, like, so cavemen used to get up at sunrise, go look for shelter, go look for food, go look for warmth, and try not to get eaten by, an animal, right? That's what it was. And then, like, our immediate ancestors, like our great grandparents and, even my grandparents, they lived off the land, right? They grew their own food. They went to the bathroom in an outhouse. Like, that was their survival, was to keep a roof over their head and keep food on the table. But now our fear that we're running from is people and their opinions and what they have to say, and how hard they're going to try to take you down, and how they want to be better than everybody else, and that they have to be the best. And that's when ego gets in the way. And when ego gets in the way, you won't have success. It'll all come crumbling down, right? It has to be with value. And so I'm reading Joe Dispenza. I'm just going to grab the book here because he made I had a huge aha, but he says, when you're living in survival, you're trying to control or force an outcome. Okay. That's what the ego does. The ego is always forcing the outcome, like forcing more money, forcing more sales, forcing more fame. That's what the ego does. But when you're living in an elevated emotion of creation, you feel so lifted and full of gratitude that you would never try to analyze how or when a chosen destiny will arrive. You trust that it will happen because you've already experienced it. So if you're trying to bring other people down, you're not living in that elevated emotion. You're living in lack and fear, and you're allowing your ego to take over, and that's going to hurt you in the long run.
Yeah, learning about ego, I realized that I had a huge ego in my past.
Me too.
Where I used to think about my success and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be good. So when I seen somebody surpass me or somebody go outside of being with me and branch out and do something for them, I kind of got jealous and I was like, no, don't. Like, I want to do that. Now, in the space that I'm in and all the growth that I've had this past year, and all the amazing people that I'm working with, I tell them right off the bat, I want to work with you. I want to pour as much as I can into you, and I want you to do what it is you want to do. And if that is to branch out and grow, not with me always, but sometimes you just want to leave and do your thing, I want that for you. Like, I want to see you shine, and I want to see you shine freaking bright. But the ego in me that I used to have would be, I love you, just don't outshine me.
Yeah. But how do you know who to trust? Like, how do you know who to trust? How do you know who is practicing what they preach?
I think you don't until, I honestly think you don't until something happens where something happens.
And it has to be trial and error on your part, right? That's what it is. It has to be trial and error on your part. You can't base your decision on somebody else's perspective. That's what it is, right? That's what it comes down to. Is, maybe you try one program and it didn't work for you, right? It just didn't work for you, but you notice it's working for other people. It just didn't work for you. And we've done that. You and I have done that, Kaylee. We have joined different programs that didn't work for us.
Yeah.
But then we have found ones that did.
Absolutely. And like I said before,
right? It's like lipstick. How do you know the shade's going to work unless you put it on your finger? And that's kind of gross because so many people put it on their finger in the store, right? Or you purchase it and hope for the best, right? It's like shopping for clothes online. You don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
Right? But you could go off of the reviews, or you can say, you know what? I really want to try this and see for myself.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? That goes for every single thing in your life. You can just think about what it would be like and then take somebody's opinion and not do it.
Yeah.
Or you could literally just go for it. I forget what the quote is or what the saying is, but it's something like it's so often that people get to their deathbed or something like that, and their biggest question is, if I did that, how different would my life be? Yep. If I did that, where would I be now? If I said yes to that opportunity at that time, instead of saying no because of fear or because of somebody else's opinion, would I be here? And I play the game with Will all the time. We talk about our past, and I'm like, babe, could you imagine if we didn't date, where we would both be?
Yep.
Like if we didn't meet and we didn't talk and we didn't continue to talk, like where would we be? Right? And we don't know.
Exactly. Or what if you didn't start, your entrepreneurship? Or what if you let other people who are trying to destroy you get in your head and you just stop trying to move on with your dream?
Yeah, right?
Right.
And I'll say too, in every situation that might seem bad, just talking about like somebody trying to take you down, if that's happening in your life or ever has, there's always a positive to it.
Always.
And there's going to be lessons learned along the way. Trust me, I've had a shit ton of lessons learned this past year. And it's made me stronger. And there's been a lot of time, and I talk about it freely all the time, about building my house. I said, I could have thrown the towel in so many times and been like, this ain't going to fucking work. I'm not going to even try. Yep. But if I did that, I would not be moving into my house in 7 weeks.
Wow, so soon.
Right? It's crazy. So it's just like, if you have the burning desire or just the want and the need and the happiness and the thought of the what if, don't waste it. Try it for yourself. If you're having a thought of, what if I did that? Have all the what ifs in the positive way outweigh the negatives. Yeah. Because if you say no, you're always going to know what it feels like to not go for it.
One of my favorite quotes is, there's always a positive intention in every single behavior that's done to you.
Yes.
So what happens is we usually look for the negative, right? Why did this happen to me? Why are they doing this to me? Woe is me, right? We take what's happening to us, but there's always a positive in it. So look for the positive. Take a breath, take a moment, realize what just happened, put pen to paper and say, what is the positive? What am I going to get out of this? Because you're going to come out of it stronger and you're going to come out of it on top.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's so funny because we can go, we can go through some hard times and you always get through them. You
Always.
always get through them.
Yep.
And when you're a year after that, you're looking back, it's just a memory that slowly fades because all of the things that are happening that you're thinking about wanting to do and putting them into action slowly make that just something that you don't remember because you don't any longer give your energy or your thought to it.
You don't give
But
your power away.
yes, absolutely, Sarah. And there's times where you feel like what the fuck now? Like,
Yep.
but it's just looking at those moments and thinking instead of the what now, what is this teaching me and how can I move forward? Because if you can just throw your talent and give your power to it, what's going to happen?
The other person's going to win.
Right? What's going to happen?
David
Nothing.
Goggins, he's probably right now, like, he's my idol. He has this saying, the slogan that now I've adopted, and it's, you can't hurt me. Right? You can't hurt me. That's the name of his book too. You can't hurt me. Taking Souls, right? He was put down like so much. If you guys have not read his book, it's called Can't Hurt Me. Go check it out. I'm pretty sure last time I saw it was like sold out, but go take a look, read that book, listen to the audio, and like you're gonna be blown away by his story. Like nobody wanted to publish him. Nobody wanted to publish him. He self-published, and now he's like, if you're okay with swearing, you must be because you listen to us. But if you're okay with swearing, he's one to go listen to. And I listen to like Grant Cardone, and I listen to Tony Robbins, and I listen to Peter Sage. And you know what everybody has in common is that they were all beaten down, but they all came out on top. And they still get beaten down. You still have people, again, perspective, who talk bad about them in comments. I remember being on UPW, and Tony had said something, and it was the Zoom one where it was virtual. And I remember being in Zoom, and I'm looking at the comments, and there's so many hateful responses to what he said. And I'm just thinking about, why are you even here? Like, if you don't agree with him, why are you even here? Right? There's always going to be those type of people. There was 400,000 people on live, right? Like, why are you here? Because there's people there that need to be seen. They need to know that they're right. That's their perspective, that they're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
just keep thinking of them, and like, if they can do it, I sure as hell can do it.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone has their own story and everybody has their own perspective. But I mean, if you're looking at their perspective of something in a situation where you're trying to make a decision about whatever it may be, just do it for you. Take everyone else out of the equation and figure it out for you. What does it look like if I just did this? Like, get all the what ifs out of the way and just do it.
Yeah.
Like that was my biggest slogan. Is that what it's called? The Nike Just Do It.
Yeah.
Like when I went through high school and stuff, that was my biggest thing. Just do it.
And when you have things like this come up, because life is not a straight line and it never will be, there will always be a wrench thrown in there. Doesn't matter how good you are. I don't know if you've ever said this, but I get like one step ahead and 10 steps back. It's just going to continue like that because you're growing, because it's not meant to be a straight line. Have a mantra that you can repeat. Mine is, you can't hurt me. That's the mantra that I repeat in my head. So if I feel like I'm going down the negative path, that's what I'm going to put in my head. You can't hurt me.
I love it, Sarah. So good. So yeah, look at the moments in your life where even look at your past, because thinking about all the things that we've talked about in the last 20 minutes, you've probably went back to your past of a decision you made that you didn't do something, and you're probably thinking, what if I did do that? Go do it. It's never too late. If you want to do it and you didn't and you haven't, just go and do it.
Just do it. Don't care what other people have to say.
Yeah.
Right? You have to try it for yourself.
Do it for you.
Yep.
Well, I love that.
It's like your kids, right? Like, I remember don't climb the tree. Well, I'm going to climb the tree anyways. You'll fall. Maybe I won't. Right? Like, I look at all of these adrenaline junkies who like jump out of a plane, and they're like, what if your parachute doesn't open? Well, what if it does? Right? Yeah. Awesome.
I love this so much. Well, if you ever have any questions, please send them into info@saraheasterbrook.com. We'd be happy to chat with you and bring you onto a podcast, even if you really want to. That would be awesome to have you as a special guest. So send us an email there. Always head over to our Facebook page. We're always dropping valuable content and information there. It is Conversions Solved for high ticket coaches and consultants. And for everyone in Canada, have an amazing long weekend. And we will see you back here on Monday.
See you later.
Bye.